All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this month's webinar on side ventures, businesses to start while employed in 2023. My name is Blair Nickel, and I have my compadre here, Charlie McGee. And what we're going to talk about today is kind of one of the hottest topics within franchising. It's a category of what we call semi-absentee, and I would say, I don't know, Charlie, what would you say? Over half of my clients, probably over half of yours, are choosing this category. And the main reason is that, the job market is still, even though unemployment is creeping up, we're seeing the layoffs time and time again, it's still relatively low. And so people may be landing jobs, they may have a job, but one of the things that they're really looking for is kind of a side venture, if you will. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Get to my clicker here. So we're going to try to keep this to about 30 minutes. We want to keep it fairly short because we know everybody's kind of got their day jobs and their own personal agenda for the day. So we'll try to wrap it up by 12:30 with any questions and answers. If it tends to linger on, feel free to stay on. Charlie and I are happy to answer any questions that you have, but we'll try to wrap it up by the bottom half of the hour. We'll go a little bit over kind of what FranNet is, what we do, how we do it. And then we will get deep into what is semi-absentee franchising and why are our clients, the vast majority of our clients, heading in this direction. Then we're going to give you some actual examples of semi-absentee franchises. It's not that any of these examples are the one for you. These is just purely a random pick of semi-absentee franchise just to give you a taste of what's out there. So what's not realistic is for you to be able to log off of this meeting today saying, hey, I found the business that's right for me. What is realistic is for you to learn about semi-absentee franchise, get your questions answered, and just see some examples of them. Just kind of see, hey, is really semi-absentee franchising something that you want to further look into? And then if so, we'll go into the last part, which is next steps. So a little bit about myself. Been in franchising just about my entire professional career. So that's close to 30 years. Yes, I do have gray hair. Yes, I'm just about 50 years old. Many of those years were spent with a company called Mailbox, etc., in the UPS store, but the vast majority of it's been with FranNet. And Charlie will get us started here on what FranNet is and what FranNet does. But basically, I've helped personally over 500 different individuals get into franchising. And it's really neat to watch people go from a very educational meeting or webinar such as this, and then within a few months' time, you own your own business, which is pretty cool. I do still own multiple franchises. In addition to FranNet, as you can probably see the logo right here, I'm also a franchisee of Stretch Lab. I'm also one of the principal owners of the parent company of FranNet and the vice chairman. Also an avid skier. I will freely admit I played hooky yesterday for a couple hours. There was a foot of fresh, purely champagne powder that came in on Monday night, and I had to get a piece of it. So I'm an avid skier and avid golfer, but not as good a golfer as Charlie is, as Charlie will get into here.
Oh, I don't know about that. But Blair, great to be with you. I'm Charlie McGee. I'm focused on the Washington market. I live in the Puget Sound area. I've been a FranNet franchise consultant and franchisee for starting my 11th year. I'm also a franchise consultant with a business brokerage based in Seattle called IBA. Which also deals with franchise resales. So I started my franchising career when I met Blair, frankly, and he has been my mentor and my friend, and I've taken a little money off of him on the golf course. He's taken a little from me. So it's, I'd say we're probably about even career-wise. And I am building a 6-hole loop golf course in Eastern Washington. And I'll mention this too. You see the QR code. If you want, if you're interested in learning franchises in Washington, that's going to be the QR code that you want to take a picture of. And Blair's going to show you his again at the end when we talk about next steps. But for now, I think that's good. Thanks, Blair.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I'll just jump in too and just talk about, FranNet. You're probably a little familiar with it if you're on this call. I mean, we're matchmakers. at the end of the day. We're helping people first determine, hey, is business ownership a good idea for me, whether it's semi-absentee or otherwise? And if and we have an assessment that we use, which helps answer that question. But if the answer is yes, then our role is to help you find those options which might really be a great fit for you. We don't charge you, our clients, anything for the service. We get paid like executive recruiters by the 250 hand-chosen franchisors that we work with. So you need a process. People that look for franchises on the internet will discover very quickly that that is a hugely inefficient way to figure out, whether it's right for you and to find the right one. Blair and I have been doing this, worked with, thousands of clients now between us at this point. We have a process that we use, and I think it really is, it's proven over 35 years to be very effective. The biggest thing is that people get scared. Everybody likes the idea of business ownership, being your own boss, building multiple revenue streams. Of course, those things are attractive. So why doesn't everybody do it? Well, in the end, they just get overcome with fear. And so part of our role is just to help educate so that you ultimately can make a really confident decision, even if that is not to do it. I think Blair mentioned this. We'll move on.
Okay, so what is semi-absentee ownership? So like I said, semi-absentee is probably one of the hottest topics within franchising right now. It is designed for somebody who says, hey, I have a full-time job, or hey, I'm semi-retired or retired, or hey, I want to diversify my personal financial portfolio, or I want to diversify my income, or hey, I just want a side gig. Okay. So these businesses are designed to be ran in about, I'd call it somewhere between 5 and 15, maybe 5 to 20 hours of your time per week. The person who's running the day-to-day operations of these businesses is really your general manager. Okay, so you're not in there from a day-to-day basis. And so there's more and more people, or at least our clients right now, who are saying, hey, if I could take some money out of the stock market and invest it in my own business, in my own backyard, I'd like to do that, so long as I'm able to hold on to my other investments or my job or whatever the case may be. And I really want to diversify my income. Or we have a lot of people who are, I don't know, whatever age it may be, that are semi-retired, who have very good skill sets, very good backgrounds, and saying, hey, if I could apply those skill sets and put it into my own business here in my own backyard, but still have all the freedom and flexibility to play golf and go skiing during the day and play tennis and go on hikes and spend time with my family and grandkids, I'd like to do that. So what we're really talking about is creating supplemental income here, in really income security. So typically in a semi-absentee business model, they are usually, but not always, usually have a physical location to them. We will show you an example or two of one or a couple that don't have physical locations, because that is something that's actually changing day to day. But the common denominator behind all of them is that they are manager run. So your very first hire is a general manager, and it needs to be a good hire. That I will be very upfront about, since I own semi-absentee franchise myself. Your manager is going to run the day-to-day operations of that business for you and report to you. And then you're going to create layers of management of not only maybe multiple managers once you get into multiple locations, but also assistant managers. But it's all designed so that you don't have to be in there on a day-to-day basis. The way customers find you is that you generally spend advertising dollars, whether it be on Facebook, Google, Instagram, local newspaper, whatever the case may be, public relations, and those efforts will drive customers into your location to your business. Classic examples that are within these semi-absentee categories: hair care, beauty, fitness, wellness, building, construction, but know that there are many, many others out there. So the aspects are, you keep your job. The owner's work is often after hours, or if you have a flexible schedule with whatever job you have, you can check on the business from time to time. What's really neat about business these days, and I think COVID even really exacerbated this, is that you can monitor your business from basically anywhere. Okay, I'm sitting in my home office right now. I own multiple businesses. I can go online. If I could show you my other screen here, if I actually switched what I'm sharing, I can show you the real-time results of what's happening within my semi-absentee businesses right now. I can actually see what's happening in there. I can look at the financial results, what's happening today. I'm able to project what's going to happen into the future. And I can do that not only from my home office, I can do it from really anywhere in the world. I was in, as Charlie knows, I was in Italy for about a month this past summer, and was able to monitor everything very easily from Italy. So really what these businesses are growth and investment to hedge against economic changes as well. Like I said, a lot of our clients saying, hey, if I can invest in myself and I can invest in my own business compared to being at the mercy of the stock markets or the mercy of a job, I'd like to do that. So they'll use semi-absentee franchises, that methodology.
Blair mentioned this earlier. I mean, one of the category of clients that we work with are those who have retired and find themselves missing the engagement and the relationships that their jobs, careers had provided. They miss contributing to a group, a team, something beyond themselves, and just maintaining a sense of relevance. So there's clearly, many factors that need to be considered to determine if business ownership, semi-absentee business ownership is going to help you reach those goals for the post-retiree candidate. But that's something that we can help you do.
Great. So let's go over some examples, Charlie.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll kick it off here. So Physical Therapy and Balance Center. This is a really interesting business. Up to about $473,000 as an initial investment. That includes 5 months of working capital. The franchise fee is $49,000. This is a huge growing business, $45 billion industry, growing 6% or more a year. We've got an aging population. We've got early hospital discharges, mobility issues because of obesity and diabetes. So it really addresses, this is an essential service and recession resistant. This is also an enterprise level franchise brand. And what I mean by that is it's not a, micro emerging business. Somebody's been in business for a few years and has placed, a handful of franchisees and now ready for a national launch. I'm not saying that those businesses can't, there aren't some great ones in there, and it is, but there's more risk. When you're with an enterprise level brand, 450 open units, for instance, with Physical, there's a track record. There's a much more predictability about what you might expect. So they specialize in traditional physical therapy services, treating patients for injury, surgery, rehab, plus a differentiator in the space is the proprietary balance therapy program. So as a franchisee, you're hiring degreed, salaried W-2 employees. Your role as an owner is hiring staff, managing the metrics, often remotely, just like Blair described, networking, outreach, managing the marketing program. No medical experience necessary. So this lets the PTs do what they do best and allow you to do what you do best, which is build businesses. So this is definitely a multi-unit play, if that's something that you're interested in. And there's lots of examples. You have to validate this yourself, but of semi-absentee ownership. It's a good one.
Let you in on a little secret as well. A lot of people ask, hey, what's the number one franchise that our clients have purchased over the past couple of years? It's this one. So across the country, the most FranNet clients actually purchased this particular franchise. So they were able to research it, validate it, and they thought it was a very, very good franchise, and it is. Decalash. This one, I'll be honest with you, I did not get, only because I'm a male. And it turned out, based on our research, to be a very, very large category. Yes, it does primarily focus on females, But what we're talking about here is eyelashes. And what's really interesting is once you kind of start really focusing on something, you start to realize how many people actually get the services. Kind of like when you start shopping for a car, you start seeing that particular car kind of everywhere. The same thing happened here. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of women who actually spend a lot of money on their eyelashes. And I'm like, why do they do that? And what I learned was that once they do it once, they have to keep it up, right? So they got to, it's, eyelash hair grows. And so just more and more women, especially being online, wanting to look really good personally, they're spending a lot of money on eyelashes. Although you will see that about half of the franchisees of this particular brand are actually male or husband-wife teams as well. They have a corporate call center. They do most of their marketing via digital. It's a membership model, so it's a very forecastable revenue stream. You're able to see generally how much money you're going to make next month, month after that, few months from now. They use vegan products, which is obviously always kind of a hot thing. Investment range on this business about 215,000 to 461,000. But it is you have your estheticians that do the actual work on the eyelashes. But as you can kind of see in this picture, there's no front desk person, which is pretty cool. Customers go in there, they check in on the iPad, and then they just wait, and then they get their services done. So as far as not having to employ front desk people, which is kind of one of the higher turnover type of positions, these guys eliminated it and made it all technology driven. So very, very cool concept. You want to do this one, Charlie?
Yeah, sure. The pet industry has absolutely exploded in recent years. Seattle's the #1 dog city in America. Washington's the #2 dog state in America. Oregon's very close behind. This is an investor model, canine luxury pet resort. It's a higher investment. It's definitely on the high range of the franchisor partners that we work with. The earnings are impressive. Blair and I don't personally make financial performance representations, but that information can be provided by the franchisor and in the FDD. They built this model specifically as an investor model. So the owners in this particular business, you'll find, if it's something that you wanted to look at, has really proven to be a good semi-absentee option. People are paying, they treat their pets like family members. And the boarding industry, where people are paying, close to $100 a night to board their pet, which sometimes, I'll question whether I want to spend $100 a night on a hotel room. These pets are really being well cared for. So if the pet industry is something that's of interest, there's all kinds of different verticals within the category when it comes to grooming, to boarding, to pet supplies. Lots of interesting possibilities. And Blair and I be happy to, if that's a category that you're interested in, to talk more about it.
Which all those categories you mentioned also have semi-absentee models within them. Even dog training has semi-absentee models in it. But I'll be honest with you, when I was looking at the pictures to load onto this slide, I'm like, these dogs are living in a place that's actually nicer than my house. I look at the pool and stuff and where they're playing around. I'm like, this is pretty cool. All right. Bridge Swim School. This is an example of a very low cost semi-absentee type of business. About 60% of their franchisees are semi-absentee. Some of them are full-time operators. It's one of those feel-good businesses. I know with my children, and probably most of you who have children on this meeting, spent money on getting your children trained in swimming, right? last thing you want to see happen to your child is drown, right? So whether they're playing at somebody's house or in a lake or at your own pool, jacuzzi, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that they are properly trained within swimming. And so that's what British Swim School does. They're one of the leaders within the industry across the country. They have a good number of franchisees around the country, but there's still real good room for growth throughout the country. But again, what's really nice about this one is it's service related, it's low cost, low ongoing overhead compared to most franchises, but still fits that semi-absentee category, and you're helping out the community. So just a very, very good one to take a look at.
Hey, Blair, quick question.
Yeah.
Can you go back?
Yep.
People might be wondering, well, how do you give swimming lessons with an investment in the business of only up to 125?
Good point. I'll answer that. So they use the services of pools within the local community. So they have, if you have an LA Fitness or a 24-hour fitness, they have national contracts, so you have access to those pools automatically. In addition to using like fitness center pools, whatever type of pools you can have access to. So you don't have to own the facility. Now, there are semi-absentee franchise within this category where you do own the facility, but now you're talking about, I'm trying to remember the investment ranges of those businesses. I want to say it's about
like 2.5,
$750,000 or more. Here you're able to do the exact same service, but only have an investment of, call it 94,000 to 127,000. Okay. Good point, Charlie.
Yeah. Superior Fence and Rail. This is a really interesting business for semi-absentee ownership. You know, at first glance, you might think, golly, I don't know how somebody could do that part-time. It gets back to Blair's point about hiring that key general manager from the start. This is I'd say a relatively modest investment as a service business. 133 to 210,000 is the item 7 initial investment. There's 40 franchisees in about 50 markets. Superior Fence and Rail was purchased by Outdoor Living Brands in 2021. And it might be worth just sharing with our audience here, Blair, that platform franchisors, that means the parent company are increasingly owning multiple brands, complementary brands within a particular category. We see this especially with home service brands, which enables them to cross market and lower their new customer acquisition costs. All of that is true with Superior Fence and Rail. It has one of the most impressive earning claims of any of the franchises in our inventory. One of the things they have going for them, a few quick points. They have a quick start program. There's 200 specific tasks franchisees are doing before they even go to the initial training. The new training and the ongoing support is outstanding. It has a first mover advantage. It's the only national franchise brand in the in this category. There's no major player with more than 5% market share. They have a very aggressive buying power, millions of pounds of fencing, which gives them 20 to 30% lower cost than their competitors. Franchisees take control of the supply chain by buying generic and then customizing in-house, simplifying inventory. 8 SKUs can result in hundreds of different product options. So when you take purchasing power and combine it with in-house fabrication, you have really attractive margins. They have they've really built sophisticated technology into the business: fence mapping and design software, automated ordering systems, an execution plan for the installation crews, and just really high average unit volumes. In franchising, we call that the AUV, the average unit volume, where you start with residential installations, and it's a B2C, probably 90% of the revenue, but you can expand to commercial, to product sales, to access control, fence staining, all kinds of ways to diversify your revenue. And back to what we were saying before about people being crazy for pets. Think about how many friends you know that got a pet during COVID. Guess what everybody needs now? They need a fenced yard. And so the demand for this service is only going to increase in the future. I really like this brand.
What's also rare about this brand is that they also produce and provide to you, when you're researching the franchise, the actual financial net income of every single one of their franchisees. You usually don't see that within a disclosure document in franchising. They actually give that to you, which is rare.
You do not. Yeah, that's a big advantage.
Yep. Stretch Lab. So again, one of the brands that I personally own. I own the studio within Bend, Oregon. Trust me, when I first saw this brand, I laughed at it. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Really? There's a business out there that stretches people. And here I am a couple years later, and my wife and I own one here in Bend, Oregon. It is an assisted one-on-one stretching franchise, and it has been wonderful to watch our members, because it is a membership-driven franchise, which again is very nice because you're able to forecast cash flow within the business, and to watch the actual physical results that our clients get. Anything from people with MS to cancer patients to former NFL players to somebody like myself who, hey, I just want to, continue to be limber for my golf game or skiing or whatever the case may be. I just don't want to get hurt. And the number one reason why people get hurt is they don't stretch. Typically, we all kind of stretch, but we kind of, do one of these things and there, we're done stretching, right? No, this is anywhere from a half hour to 1 hour, half or full body stretch. And it is just wonderful for the body, and there's nothing like it. And what I also liked about it is there's very little competition within the industry. It is owned by a company called Exponential Fitness, which is the largest boutique fitness company in the world. It is a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. Right now, there's about 300 locations across the country and growing very rapidly within Stretch Lab, but there still tends to be pretty good availability within most markets with Stretch Lab. There are 9 sister companies under the Exponential Fitness umbrella that you've probably heard of them: Cycle Bar, Club Pilates, Pure Bar. Those are some of the biggies. Those are all sister brands of Stretch Lab. So typical investment range is called around $250,000. But again, a very good boutique fitness semi-absentee type of franchise, which again, I'm a personal owner of. Next steps. Can you take us into that, Charlie?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so if you have your phone, get that at the ready. We use something called an entrepreneur profile. And the profile produces a really interesting report about your entrepreneurial DNA. If you were an owner, how would you likely manage your team? How would you make decisions? What are the values that you would, your kind of hierarchy of values, and how would that kind of impact you as an entrepreneur? Takes 20-25 minutes. It also enables Blair and I to pre-qualify you for particular business models. The franchisors all have minimum net worth and liquidity requirements. Financial qualification is just like the starting point. And then from there, it's us working together to determine, what is your ideal business model, and let's put the right opportunities in front of you that give you good predictability for achieving your goals. Roadmap to Success is a really useful way for you to educate yourself about business ownership and looking at franchises. How do you know when you've found something that might be a good fit for you? And this is a piece that we're happy to send you if you like, following the meeting. And again, if you take a picture of the QR code, that's the trigger for letting us know whether you'd like to receive that. It's a pretty straightforward process. It starts with assessment, which is the entrepreneur profile. We build that sort of ideal business model. In a perfect world, what would that great business look like for you? What personal goals and business goals would it help you achieve? What kind of employees do you want to work with? What kind of customers do you want to work with? All sorts of things that you probably haven't even considered. Once the matchmaking takes place and you start connecting with the franchisors, they are the ones that are really going to educate you about that business and help you determine, hey, is there a match here? Blair and I are going to continue working with you throughout that process to make sure you're asking the right questions and considering all of the really important elements for making an important, confident decision. The franchisors have some type of an event toward the end of the process. Once you've had all your education and you've completed validation, talking to other owners, and both parties continue to believe, hey, we might have something here. This could be a match. That's where you kind of go to get your final questions answered. Blair and I can also refer you to other professional resources that are important, like a franchise attorney to review the agreement, CPA if you don't have one, etc.
Great. So there's the contact information for both Charlie and myself. You can use the QR code to get directly in contact with us, but of course, there's our email and phone number. Again, today was just a sampling of different franchise within the semi-absentee category and to help you learn a little bit about semi-absentee franchises. So that was a gist. So we hope you enjoyed the past 30 minutes. Again, this is a meeting format. So if there's any questions, Charlie and I will stay on the line. But again, we've gone through the guts of the presentation. So any questions out there, you feel free to take yourself off of mute and ask away for Charlie and I to answer for you. Any questions?
Well, we are available. The door is always open, so feel free to reach out.
I got a question for Charlie. Charlie actually got a hole-in-one this past weekend. What club did you use?
Well, let's see. It was 132 yards. I think I hit driver. No. I won't bore our non-golf participants on the call today, but to answer your question, it was a 9-iron.
Nice. Very good. All right, will do, everybody. We appreciate your time today. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, feel free to reach out to Charlie or myself if you have any questions, whether it's just franchising in general or on today's specific category of semi-absentee franchises. Other than that, thank you, everybody.
Good to see everybody. Thanks, Blair.